Alright guys, Papa Pepper here, sharing a little bit more about why we homestead. If you saw in the first one, you realized it was a path, not a destination for us, and it was the path to get our family to where we had the freedom to live out our existence together. And in the second one, I kind of talked more about the reason why we want to live our life together. Just we believe that that's a call that God has on our life, to be invested in raising our children, teaching them, training them, and just living life together. And I mean, even, united we stand, divided we fall. A family united can be a beautiful thing when they live together, when they are at peace with one another, when they enjoy one another. We see children as a blessing, and if God calls us to live our life in a way that we have a continual investment in their life on a daily basis, that's fine with us. It's not really our lives, it's His if He wants us to live a certain way. Again, those are our choices, that's what we believe, but ultimately everything in my life kind of stems from that root, from just God and Jesus and their call in my life. So starting to think about developing this and why we believe that homesteading would allow our family to live our life together. Why is that the path to get to the destination of being able to live our life together as a family? And I think once again it heads back to some things that God's revealed in the Bible and His written word, and things that He had recorded for mankind. And we see it's always a choice. It's always a choice. Just like a parent can tell their child something, the child can choose to obey or not. There may be consequences, there may be benefits or blessings or other things. But so it is with God. He laid forth everything for the Israelites in the Old Testament. He says, look, here's the blessings, here's the curses. Choose which way you want to go. Choose which way you want to live. And I think that there's really two types of commandments that can be given in the world. I'll personify it a bit, putting it from my point of view as a father. Now I can tell my little Pepper something, and I can say, look, you're going to do this because I'm your dad, and that's it. I'm your dad, I say so, you do it. And that's kind of more of an arbitrary command. The only real substance there is the fact that it's coming from me and they should obey me. I don't find the commands of God to be that way. I find them more to be like when I choose to tell my child, hey, don't touch the hot stove. It's because of my love and my care and my concern for my child that I'm trying to protect my child from something that would not be good for it, to burn their hand. So that's kind of more of a command with purpose. There's a reason. There's something behind it, and it's really for our protection and for our blessing. So I see the commands of God to be the same way. When He lays forth the blessings and the cursings, one thing that comes up on the list of cursings is debt, is usury, is paying interest. He says it's a curse. He says to be the tail and have somebody else be the head. It's not because He just wants that path to be cursed. It's because there's certain things that come along with debt bondage and choosing to enslave yourself to debt bondage that aren't good in the long run. Rather than save up, we've got more of a financial fast food mentality. I want it quick and now, and I don't care if I have to pay for it later. Just like if somebody eats fast food every day, they're like, okay, well, it's quick, it's easy, and maybe I'll pay extra for it later in my health, but it gets me through the day. Well, people do that a lot financially now. Sure, give me the car I want, and if I wind up paying $10,000 more for it by the end, so be it in interest. Or give me the house I want now, and I'll pay 2/3 of what I pay in principal, and the other third will be interest. And you have all these things that wind up costing a lot more in the end because people need a lot more money. I mean, even mortgage. Mortgage literally means death grip. Mortgage. Put on a list of words like morbid, morgue, mortuary, rigor mortis, death, and then grip. And if they think you're slipping out of your mortgage, they'll give you a second mortgage, right? Somebody knew that. I once shared at the bank, and they said, whoa, where'd you hear that? I said, well, a friend of mine. They said, well, he must be weird. I'm like, he didn't invent the word. He didn't come up with mortgage. So what I find is that people often wind up paying a ton in interest. They don't own their houses, they don't own their cars, they don't own their educations, they don't own their toys, they don't own anything. The bank owns it all. They rent it from the bank. They pay a lot more than it's worth. The rich get richer, and they suffer in the long run. And when the time comes for them to die and pass on, they don't even have anything to leave their children other than debt. Like, oh, wait, we can finally get mom and dad's house. No, you finally get to pay off their house. It's now your responsibility, whatever it is. So for me, homesteading was a way for us. I thought, you know what, if we own our own land, and all we have to do is rent it from the government with property tax, and if we build a house out of pocket, we're going to have a lot less bills. And if we're able to do things in a way that's debt-free, we're going to pay a lot less in interest. So although people can get a mortgage on some land, they can get a loan for these things, they don't have to go about homesteading in a debt-free way. For us, avoiding debt was part of the homesteading goal. We'll be able to have what we can afford up front. If we have to save, then we save first rather than pay a lot extra later. Even though we're going to be building a house out of pocket now, I'll tell you right now, it wouldn't be possible without Steemit. Howsoever, since I ruled out debt bondage, because I believe that's what God told me, don't choose the curse, then he had to come up with something else, right? All I can do is jump on Steemit like anyone else, make my posts, make my blogs, be myself, be who he wants me to be, and leave the results up to whatever. But for some reason, he shoved me to the forefront of the Steemit community. He's blessed me incredibly, and I'm going to be able to now have my house provided debt-free. That's incredible. But if you think about it, if for the rest of my life I never have to pay rent again, I never have to pay a mortgage again, I never have to pay interest again, that's going to be huge. So part of the reason why we think homesteading is the path to our destination is that we can combine it in a way more easily with a debt-free lifestyle than if we continue to live in our house in the city and do some other things. It takes a lot to get ahead in this life. It takes a lot to get ahead in this world, and the odds are stacked against the little man. They really are. You're supposed to be a cash cow for others. It's kind of the way it is. You're supposed to pay a ton in interest. The only way you should be able to get a job that pays a lot is if you get a lot of student debt to get that job. So anyway, that's part 3 of why we homestead. Papa out.